Overo Lethal White Syndrome is an autosomal recessive mutation that is commonly seen in American paint horses, American miniature horses, half Arabians, and thoroughbreds, but most especially the American paint horse and the American miniature horse. It is caused by a point mutation of the endothelin receptor type B, which is EDNRB gene. As a result, the DNA mistakes isoleucine for lysine. It is also linked to a condition called Overo. Now, for the purpose of our lecture, we will focus only on one type of Overo called frame Overo. A horse with a frame Overo has only one inherited copy of the EDNRB mutation. That is, it is a heterozygous carrier of the mutant gene. This carrier has white markings that are often desirable as a result of pigment loss caused by the mutation, as you can see on the screen. However, it is important to note that the white marks do not cross the dorsal midline between the withers and the tail. So the white marks often look like the one you see in the picture and not other white markings that horses have. Now, when an offspring is homozygous for this EDNRB mutant gene, it suffers from a deadly condition that is known as Overo Lethal White Syndrome. Foals with this condition are born almost pure white in appearance with blue eyes, like the picture you see on the screen here. A few foals with Overo Lethal White Syndrome have also been found deaf, but their signs and symptoms do not stop there. Unfortunately, the foals also have an undeveloped and non-functioning colon caused by a failure of the embryonic cells that form nerves in that area. We have all learned about the anatomy of the horse and the importance of the digestive system, so it should be no surprise that foals with this condition are unable to pass feces, which leads to colic. This can be very painful for the horse and horse owners to witness, so they are often euthanized even though they die within a few days naturally. But one must not be quick to jump to conclusions because there are other conditions that produce pure, healthy white foals, and these foals may just be suffering from a temporary illness that can be treated. Now you're about to see a short clip of a foal that has the Overo Lethal White Syndrome. And if you can see, the edges of the video, just try to really focus on the horse that's beside this affected horse. And you might notice the white marks on the horse's body. And I'm assuming that it has the Overo White Syndrome. And that horse is most likely the parent of this horse that is affected. So with my guesses, that parent horse is heterozygous for the gene, and was probably bred with another horse that was heterozygous for the gene to produce this foal, this really fragile, frail foal that has the Overo Lethal White Syndrome. And there's no audio for this video, so just try to focus on the foal and see how much pain it looks like it's in, and why, and just try to understand why they're often euthanized even before they die naturally. Unfortunately, there is no cure or treatment for Overo Lethal White Syndrome. Several attempts to carry out a surgery procedure on affected foals have been unsuccessful, so in this case, the only solution we have is to prevent them from being bred. Frame overalls often have a characteristic pattern, but this can be altered if they are bred with horses that have other patterns. That is why it is important to carry out DNA tests on all heterozygous carriers and other horses that might be suspected carriers, perhaps the ones with white markings that are a little different from the typical markings that you would see on a horse with lethal white syndrome. It is also advised that carriers should not be bred to each other so as to prevent the possibility of producing an affected foal with the Overo Lethal White Syndrome.